Welcome to Corey Craft. Today we're going to be working on the bishopwood stump. In local Japanese language, it's the kagi. Man, that is a big difference. Check that out. If you look at it, I've let it grow. Let's see, I dug this back up in November. So it's been in a pot now for 5 months. Springtime has just started. It tells me that the root system has started to develop, so we're going to maintain the root system before it gets out of control. But you can see that these all started popping up right here and started giving me a branch structure and already started giving me this triangular taper. The leaves, initially especially, were huge, and the nature of these leaves is they sprout in threes. Like I'll have this branch stem that comes off and then I have 3 leaves itself. But what I've done is come down and clipped each leaf roughly to be about the same size. I probably took 2/3 of the leaf off, and what that'll do is reduce the amount of photosynthesis and the energy being shoved back into the plant itself. Not starving it, but slowing down the growth process, which is ideal within the bonsai world. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of this plastic planter and take a look at the root system. I know for sure that when I dug this out of the ground, there was one in particular, very large root that I'm probably going to clip off if I have any roots that are further up in it, because I need to reduce that in size. And hopefully today we can pot this in here. I needed a round pot. I wanted one more shallow and steeper sides. I couldn't find one for the time being, so when I had settled with this one, it cost me like, I don't know, $4 or something like that. So we'll use it. Actually, some of my other bonsai are in the same pot, like my cherry tree. I'm not going to do any maintenance to the top here. What I want to concentrate on doing is just kind of getting the root system to be a fine spread of roots, take those main pieces off. There's plenty of energy in the tree up top now that we have the ability to photosynthesis on everything. And then we'll just get into a smaller pot. That way we can start looking at how we want to design the foliage of this tree in the future. It's too early right now, so all of these growths haven't really turned to wood. All of the branches are still very green, and so I'll have to wait for these to harden up to start clipping them back. The only thing I have done really is anytime that a branch sprouts, like right here, I had 2 branches sprouting from the same side. I picked one, got rid of the other one. Same thing here, I had 2 from the same spot. So I've just kind of reduced it down and selected this to be a 1 branch from each piece so that it grows correctly. And I'll probably reduce the number of branches as time goes. So I'm going to start by just simply pulling this out, and I'll sweep up the rocks later. There it goes. Oh, look at all those roots. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I'm so happy to see that. Wow, I'm impressed. This is a good root system so far. Wow. I'm blown away at how well these roots developed in this pot so quickly. They're thin. There's a couple of big roots that I'm probably going to actually just take out, but I'm going to bare root this entire system. I didn't know I used planter soil in here. I've got a mixture of planter soil. Like this is one of those big roots that I'm going to get rid of right here. The huge stem. But really it depends on how much of the root is up top. Whoop. This trunk system goes much deeper than I remember. Oh, I still have a lot of dirt from the natural environment. Whoops. All right, so this is where I cut the bottom of the tree here. I've got a lot of red down here. It's pretty interesting. It's like really, let's see if we can catch that on camera. If I turn this, the very bottom of the tree very bottom of the trunk. I'm gonna have to get some dirt in here, but it's really, really red when I start scraping it. Okay, so this is coming off. Let's go ahead and clip that now. This is a massive piece, but honestly, I don't need it because there's such almost no roots at the very end of it. I'm gonna have to use these. We'll come and get it real close to the trunk line. So it's a very smooth, clean cut. This is not above ground. There we go. That was a good cut. So you can see how thick this was and how few roots in comparison to the rest were on it. This one here needs to be removed. Let's get another clipper. That thing. So all of the old roots basically seem that they don't need to be here any longer, just because there's no need for them. They've either died back or become obsolete because of the amount of rooting elsewhere. I'll keep that one. This has a big old nub coming out, and there are things coming off, but I don't think I want that, so I'm going to take that off too. Yeah, see, it wasn't worth it. All right, and then I've got this one here, and if I look at this root, what I see is it's got some good branching coming off of it, especially down at the bottom. However, there are newer roots at the base of it that are already coming out, and so I'm gonna take this only halfway up and then I'll clip it off. Okay, and then I don't know, maybe I'll take the top of this because it's got roots sprouting from the bottom of it, and I want to keep those. I just don't want to keep this big chunk. There we go. So that's the derooted system. It's pretty good. I am not going to clip the rest of these roots. I'm going to leave these just the way they are. You know what? I am going to clip some. I'm going to get rid of these really thick ones that have gotten really long really fast. I'm going to get rid of those just slightly. And then you can see here, it's almost like a rhizome. There's a lot of energy being stored up in these little pods right here. I'm not sure if I want to get rid of those just yet. Okay, I think that's good. So I did not put a mesh in the bottom of this. I'm gonna cover these roots back up for a minute. I'm gonna put a mesh right here in the bottom of this. So we'll take care of that real quick. Still going to use a little bit of this in the bottom just to facilitate some drainage, not much. When we look at this root system, I talked about getting dirt in here, but actually now that I see it, it's not the bottom. I was thinking that was the bottom. As of right now, this is the bottom, so honestly, just that is okay. So we won't have to put too much stuff. Just like that. I'm gonna try to keep some of these roots out that I cut off already. This dirt is not old, so I can reuse the heck out of it. Just like that. There we go. It's taken a life of its own right already, isn't it? I'm just gonna start filling this in, and then I'll get it poked in as time goes on. seems to really like this akadama. It's pretty healthy. Very loose soil. I need to pack this really tight this time. In fact, when I pulled it out of the pot, it was actually pretty tightly packed in there. And I think that was just a matter of the tree starting to grow into the pot and being watered constantly. But now that I have the material out of that old pot, it's really, really soft and fluffy. Really good for these actual, now that I think about it, that was soft and fluffy is really good for these delicate roots that have formed. So I'm kind of glad that happened. I didn't think this was, I had the thought that there was a high possibility this was not going to survive. Just because digging it out of the ground was such a drastic process. So now that I've seen what's in the root system, I'm pretty excited, because I had no idea what to expect when I just pulled this out of the old plastic pot, out of this here. You know, what was I expecting? That the root system, the old root system, the larger roots that I didn't cut when I pulled it out of the ground, I figured would still be a dominant root, and the tips of them may have some of these spidering new roots coming out. However, I did not think that the trunk base was going to be sprouting its own new root system already. So success, right? All right, so let's get this packed in nice and tight. I don't want to break all of these. They're delicate, but I do want this trunk system to be very secure in here. As you can see, today's kind of windy. I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone. Okay, the rest of these, I'm gonna pile this up and just kind of pack it onto the side. Maybe I'll find some moss and I'll stick some moss on here. It's gonna be a raised root system for the time being. I think eventually, maybe a couple years from now, I may trim down the bottom to be more flat than what it currently is, so that it fits a pot better, because this style, this giant bulge mass of a trunk is actually going to look good in a very shallow pot, just because the difference between the two is so drastic. It really brings attention to how large and beat up the tree is compared to the condition of the pot or the soil. You know, maybe I can get the root system to expose a little bit, like a nice nabari piece. That's going to take some time, though. That's definitely not right now. And I got this little piece right here that holds dirt. It holds water and holds dirt. I'm actually, for now, just going to throw some dirt into it. And same thing right here in the middle of the trunk. It's got this funny, I don't know how to explain it. It's got a funny hole. And I'm going to throw some rocks in there, some akadama in there, because I've noticed that it holds water and that roots actually get sprouted from it. Man, that is a big difference. Check that out. We've got some leftover dirt, and I have an idea of what I'm going to do with it. So that's the tree here. We're going to put this off to the side, and I'm going to use some of this dirt here for another project that I've got going on. Let's get a view of this tree in the pot like this. The canopy's really opened up since I've trimmed those leaves back. That's looking good in its pot. I thought that it was going to be too high up and that the dirt was going to wash away, which will happen. However, right now as I see it, it's not bad. And you can actually see quite a bit. So this is nice. This is gonna develop good. In the next couple of months, I think I'm gonna trim up like this little dead branch right here. I'm gonna get trimmed up, but I'll start wiring everything. Everything's really green right now, so I don't wanna break anything. I want it to really be healthy. Just trim the leaves, get the roots to develop. I'll let this get into its new pot. It's gonna go into shock again here, but maybe not. We'll see. It's springtime, it might recover really well.